My Archrival is about to become my new boss. My company's Archrival, Yang Xiaoke, is about to become my direct superior. Just as I'm at my wit's end, my husband, with whom I had a fake divorce, suddenly confesses by my father-in-law's hospital bed. The one I've always loved is her. I follow my husband's gaze toward the door, where a woman stands. It's Yang Xiaoke. You should take that call. The HR director glances again at the phone buzzing incessantly in my hand, her tone gentle, and laced with pity. 5 minutes ago, she had used that same tone to inform me that Yang Xiaoke, my equal, my rival in constant competition, was about to be promoted to my direct superior. We had gone from competitors to superior and subordinate. I had always known this day might come. What I hadn't anticipated was that she would rise and I would fall. The phone in my hand keeps buzzing. I decline the call. It buzzes again. I decline again. It buzzes again. I can no longer tell if my panic and frustration stem from the director's words, or from this relentless, persistent caller. I politely nod my farewell to the director, rise from my seat, and head for the door while finally pressing the answer button. Jingyin! My mother's shrill voice cuts through the line like a war drum. You child! How could you keep something as big as a divorce from your parents? My heart skips a beat. How did you find out? Clearly too flustered to care about my question, she presses on anxiously. You've been divorced for half a year, keeping us in the dark. Your father is so furious he might faint. He grabbed your divorce certificate and stormed off to your in-laws' house. You need to get over there too. The line goes dead, and I feel the world tilt. I rush to request time off and hurry to my in-laws' place. On the way, I keep dialing Bai Jengin's cell, but it's constantly busy. My WeChat messages go unanswered. The moment I enter the residential complex, my mother calls again. Your father-in-law collapsed. The ambulance just took him to 6th Hospital. Get there now. As I arrive at the hospital entrance, I witness my taxi driver knock down a boy of about 11 or 12. The driver curses under his breath, yanking the steering wheel, trying to bypass the fallen child and flee. Acting on impulse, I step forward and block the car, slamming my hand on the hood. You hit someone. At least get out and check if the kid is hurt. Trying to flee like this. What's wrong with you? The boy is thin and frail. While the driver and I argue, he slowly picks himself up and walks over to me, silently staring at the driver. I insist the driver get out, pointing wildly at the cameras overhead. There are cameras everywhere. They caught you hitting him and they'll catch you fleeing. Either you get out and take him inside to get checked, or I'm calling the police to pull the footage. Security guards and passers-by gather, urging the driver to take responsibility. Realizing he's outnumbered, the driver reluctantly cuts the engine, gets out, and accompanies the boy into the hospital. My phone starts buzzing wildly again. The boy tugs at my sleeve and says quietly, Auntie, you should go. My mom's here. She won't let anyone push us around. Though thin, he's about my height, and his eyes are calm and sharp. I entrust him to the security guard and pull out a business card. If there are any issues, have your mother call me. I'll be your witness. The boy smiles, tucking the card neatly into his pocket. I wave goodbye and head toward the ward my mother mentioned, answering my phone on the way. My father is the head of orthopedics at another hospital, but over the years he's built connections everywhere. Securing a private room for my father-in-law here would have been easy. I haven't even pushed open the ward door when I hear my mother-in-law's wailing. My mother is standing near the entrance and spots me immediately. She opens the door and waves me in. The moment she opens the door, I see my ex-husband, Bai Jengin, kneeling on the floor. My mother-in-law is kneeling directly across from him, crying and pounding on her son in anguish. Our families go way back. My father and father-in-law have known each other for years. From the moment Bai Jengin and I started dating, my in-laws have always been good to me. Neither family ever imagined we would divorce, so the news has hit them hard. I never imagined I'd get divorced in my lifetime either. But I step forward to help my mother-in-law up. Mom, please get up. The floor is cold and hard and your knees aren't good. Let's talk calmly. She grabs my hand, sobbing. Jingyin, I'm so sorry. I failed to raise a decent son. Don't worry, your father and I will set this straight. Jengin, you will take Jingyin to remarry right now. If you don't, I'll stay kneeling here. Bai Zhengan kneels with his head bowed, silent. My heart aches for him. I can't help but defend him. Actually, the divorce wasn't entirely Zhengana's fault. What did you say? My father's temper flares. You wanted the divorce? No, no. I quickly wave my hands, casting a pleading look at Bai Zhengan, trying to signal him to explain the truth to the four elders. But he keeps his head down, silently enduring his mother's blows. My father-in-law, struggling to sit up in bed, lets out ragged, angry breaths. I close my eyes. There's no other way. Actually, the divorce was fake. Fake? All four elders gasp in unison. I go to kneel beside Bai Zhengan, shoulder to shoulder, like a pair of star-crossed lovers being scolded by their parents. The truth is, Zheng and E's company went bankrupt, and he was drowning in debt. To keep me from being affected, to keep my income from being seized, to pay off the debts, we had to divorce on paper. Once the debts are resolved, we'll remarry. We didn't tell you because we didn't want you to worry. I reach for Zheng En's arm. Zheng, I'm sorry my father found out. Now that he knows, let's just tell them the truth. We'll tackle the debts together. My parents will help too. Don't be so stubborn. Bankruptcy isn't your fault. You don't have to carry this alone. Bai Zhengan remains as still as a monk in meditation, kneeling silently with his head bowed. Zhengan. A soft female voice calls from the doorway, shattering the silence. How is your father? The woman's voice seems to flip a switch. Bai Zhengan, kneeling beside me, stirs. He pushes my hand away, rises to his feet, and under our watchful eyes, walks toward the door. I stand up, blinking back the tears threatening to spill. When I see who it is, the tears stop. It's the last person I expected to see here. Yang Xiaoke. The woman I thought would become my subordinate, but just learned would be my superior. Why is she here? Wait, what did she just call him? Zhengan. She came here calling my husband's name. With such intimacy, a terrifying possibility instantly forms in my mind. No, it can't be. I bite my lip, trying to steady myself. Don't panic. Don't jump to conclusions. But I immediately know I'm not overthinking it. Everyone in this room can see the truth. Because Bai Zhengan, my supposedly long-suffering, devoted ex-husband, has reached the door and is pulling Yang Xiaoke into his arms. Why are you here? Bai Zhengan finally speaks, but not to explain himself to his parents or mine. Nor to me, his fake divorced wife. He even reaches up to stroke Yang Xiaoke's hair. Tender. Gentle. And that silent gesture hits me like a thunderclap. What is going on between them? Bai Zhengan. My father-in-law rasps from the bed, his voice thunderous. Don't you dare! My mother-in-law trembles as she rises. Bai Zhengan takes Yang Xiaoke's hand and approaches the bed, smiling at his furious father. Dad, this is Xiaoke. She heard you collapsed, and was so worried she took time off to come see you. I close my eyes, forcing my voice steady despite the tremor running through me. Yang Xiaoke, I say, you don't belong here. I pause, steeling myself, need to talk somewhere else. Yang Xiaoke turns to me with a meek expression I've never seen on her before, but her words are like nails driven into my heart. Su Jingyan, if this is about work, we can discuss it at the office. But if it's personal, you and Zhengan are already divorced. I'm his girlfriend now. When his father is sick, I'm the one who should be here. You're the one who should leave. Nonsense. My mother-in-law lunges at her, enraged. Jingyan is our daughter-in-law. Their divorce was fake. They're remarrying soon. Go back to wherever you came from. Don't meddle in our family's affairs. Bai Zhengan blocks his mother. Mum, Xiaoke is right. Jingyan and I are divorced. I'm with Xiaoke now. Don't mention remarrying again, it's not happening. Bai Zhengan. My tears finally break free, streaming down my face. I stare at him in disbelief. So the bankruptcy, the debts, that was all a lie. Cheating on me, having an affair, that's the truth. Bai Zhengan hesitates, then denies it. No, the debts are real. But my love for Xiaoke is also real. And I didn't cheat. I've always loved Xiaoke. He turns to his mother. Mom, don't you remember Xiaoke? When I was in high school, she came every week to tutor me. You liked her so much back then, you used to say she was beautiful, smart, gentle, hardworking. My mother-in-law's eyes widen as she studies Yang Xiaoke, recognition dawning. It's you. She points a trembling finger at Xiaoke. How ... How shameless can you be? You're 10 years older than Zheng'an. He could call you Auntie, and it would fit. Did you have designs on him back then? He was just a kid, seducing your own student. And you with a degree from a prestigious university. Where did your education go? Get out. Stay away from my son. No one in this family wants to see you. Mom! Bai Zheng'an shouts, pulling Yang Xiaoke tighter. His stance defiant. And Yang Xiaoke, the woman who sparred with me at work, who never backed down from toasting clients or arguing with vendors' cars in two. Bai Zheng'an's arms like a fragile little quail. My head throbs. Everything that's happened today is beyond anything I could have imagined. Each revelation piling on like an ugly web trapping me with no escape. My mother has somehow come to my side, her arm around me. My father stands before me, his voice grave. Bai Zheng'an, don't act foolishly in front of your elders. The reason we're all here today, you know perfectly well. Regardless of what's going on with this woman, let her leave first. We need to resolve our family matters properly. Bai Zheng'an refuses. He has always respected my father most. But now he juts out his chin defiantly. Xiaoke and I are getting married soon. She is my family. Since this is a family matter, she should be here. Married? My heart twists. After I followed his instructions, left the marriage with nothing, saved money to help him pay off debts, kept the divorce a secret, waited obediently for the day we'd remarry, continued caring for his parents as always he tells me he's marrying someone else. I wipe the tears blurring my vision. Bai Zheng'an, you say you've always loved her. Does she love you too? Do you know she has a 12-year-old child? I know. What? Bai Zheng'an and my mother-in-law both exclaim at once. My mother-in-law suddenly rushes to the window, throwing it open. As she starts to climb onto the sill, she screams, Bai Zheng'an, you unfilial son. You have such a good wife in Jingyan, and you've lost your mind chasing after another woman. This woman is 10 years older than you, with a child that age. If you dare marry her, I'll jump right now. Let's see if you'll drive your own mother to her death for her. Everyone freezes in terror. My mother and I are closest, and we rush to pull her back. She's genuinely distraught, struggling to climb with real force. This isn't just a bluff. Even with both of us holding her waist, she still thrashes upward. My father-in-law strains against his bed, shouting hoarsely at his son and wife. My father, stronger than us, pushes us 3 women aside and slams the window shut, locking it. My mother-in-law remains hysterical, struggling in my arms and my mother's. Bai Zheng'an, I couldn't jump today, but I'll do it tomorrow or the day after. If you keep seeing this woman, I swear I'll die. Mom, Bai Zheng'an shouts. Xiaoke's child is mine. He's your own grandson. Although our fathers had known each other for years, Bai Zheng'an and I didn't actually meet until after I'd finished high school and been accepted to university. After the college entrance exams, I went to visit relatives out of town for a month. When I returned home, my parents weren't off work yet, and I couldn't get in. Lugging my suitcase, I headed to my father's hospital to fetch the house keys. That's where I saw Bai Zheng'an in the orthopedic ward. His first impression wasn't great. Both arms and legs were in casts, wrapped in bandages, with scrapes on his face. I later learned that Bai Zheng'an had been on a graduation trip with classmates and had an accident, seriously injured. His parents were worried and brought him to the hospital where my father worked. His parents wanted to treat my father to dinner, and since I'd always been a hit with the older generation, they insisted I join the meal. The 3 elders reminisced over drinks about days gone by. I finished eating quickly, and my mother, who had arrived later, sent me back to the hospital to bring a packed meal to Bai Zheng'an. Later, the 4 elders subtly arranged a few more meetings between us. Since Bai Zheng'an and I were the same age, things naturally progressed, and we started dating. Both families were happy with the match. But ours wasn't some arranged marriage from the old days. We shared many romantic, beautiful moments together. From that first meeting until now, we had been together for 10 years. Sure, we had small arguments, but overall, we were happy. Who would have thought that the life I thought was so ordinary, dating, marrying, having children, would suddenly come to a halt? And in a way that felt ripped from some melodramatic romance novel. The childhood sweetheart, the one who got away pregnant, returns after 13 years to rekindle her romance with a divorced hero. Lovers reunite. Father and son recognize each other. Thinking back, the few times Bai Zhengan came to pick me up from the office were probably when they reconnected. If this were an online novel, I'd probably be reading with rapt attention, tears and snot streaming down my face. That now the other woman wasn't the other woman at all, she was the devoted heroine who had borne his son. I was the villainous wedged between the hero and heroine. Though I wasn't villainous at all. I just felt like the most pitiful person in the world. And thanks to Bai Jingyi's scheming arrangements, legally speaking, I was already his ex-wife. I didn't even have the right to hold up a protest sign or demand to see a paternity test. "I've seen the paternity reports," my mother-in-law said when she came to visit, holding my hand with a regret that barely masked her joy. "2 of them, both from reputable institutions. Your father-in-law and I never imagined ... 2 could have." Indeed, who could have? I didn't know what expression to wear or what to say. My mother-in-law had always been good to me. But given my position, I couldn't bring myself to play along and say things I didn't mean. "Jingyan," she sighed. "I only acknowledge you as my daughter-in-law. That older woman don't even think about her entering my family. But still, a grandson carries the Bai family's blood. That's something we have to accept, whether we want to or not. I've seen the boy. He looks a lot like Zhengyan. Well-raised, quiet, polite." I grew confused. My mother-in-law knew I was heartbroken, wronged and suffering. Why keep bringing up this child in front of me? Was she trying to convince me to be a good stepmother and care for the Bai grandson? But his biological father had no intention of reconciling with me. And with this new development, even if he did, I wasn't sure I'd want to be a stepmother. If he no longer cared, I would let go. He'd already produced a child. What was the point of forcing things? My mother-in-law gently stroked my wrist, hesitating. "Jingyan, do you still have that set of jewelry I gave you? I told you then that it was passed down from Zhengyan's grandmother to the daughter-in-law, granddaughter-in-law, great-granddaughter-in-law, ... double quotes. A chill crept over my heart. I understood. Now that she had a grandson, she was here to claim the jewelry for his future bride. I pulled my hand away, stood up, and went to the bedroom to retrieve the jewelry set. "I should have returned it sooner," I said. "But Zhengyan said to keep the divorce secret. Returning the jewelry suddenly would have made you suspicious, so I held on to it." My mother-in-law looked embarrassed, taking it awkwardly. "Jingyan, that's not what I meant." "I understand," I quickly interjected. "I do. Given what Bai Zhengan had done, and with a child that age suddenly in the picture, I wanted nothing more to do with him. Perhaps my compliance gave my mother-in-law the wrong idea." After tucking the jewelry into her bag, she said, "I asked Zhengyan about his debts. They're considerable. His father and I are considering selling the house to help. I heard you're still driving that car. Since you live close to work now, maybe you could sell that too. And perhaps your parents could help with some funds. In such difficult times, if you do your part and help him, he'll remember your kindness. People have hearts." I could no longer maintain my composure. When Bai Zhengan first told me about his company's bankruptcy and debts, my first instinct was to sell the house and car, borrow whatever we could from our parents, pay off what we could, and work together to pay off the rest. He was the one who insisted we get a temporary divorce to protect me from the debts, citing our parents' health and our family's long-term future. If it hadn't been for that scene in the hospital, if not for Yang Xiaoke and the child, he would have been the most devoted husband. I would have been willing to remarry any time and face the debts together. But now, after being made the most pitiful person in the world, was I supposed to be the biggest fool too? I coldly refused my mother-in-law. Well, ex-mother-in-law. I understood now. No matter how close and long-standing the relationship between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, it couldn't compete with a grandchild carrying a quarter of the family blood. My ex-mother-in-law's visit had, miraculously, pulled me from my overwhelming grief. I still had a long life ahead. I didn't need to sacrifice decades of future happiness for a man who didn't love me. I called the HR director to cancel my leave and went for a full spa treatment. After composing myself and fixing my appearance, I was ready to return to work. It was laughable, really. A friend in HR confided that the reason Yang Xiaoke got the promotion over me was largely because she was an unmarried mother, while I was married but childless. Upper management believed that at 28, I could step away at any moment to have a baby. From pregnancy planning through maternity leave, Even until the child started kindergarten, I wouldn't be able to fully commit to work. Yang Xiaoke, at 38 and single, was unlikely to have another child. Her son was already 12 and didn't require intense attention. For a female mid-level manager, this was a crucial factor. But who could have predicted that within days, before the appointment was even announced, Yang Xiaoke would be about to become a soon-to-be-married mother expecting another child, while I would become divorced and childless. Just as I was rallying, ready to win on the career front what I'd lost in love, Yang Xiaoke made one move that completely knocked me out of the game. Su Jingyan, the company has detected a deposit of 20,000 yuan into your bank account. The transfer originated from an account belonging to Zhao Yong. Our investigation confirms he is a supplier representative for the project you currently manage. This constitutes a serious violation of the company's strict anti-corruption policies and employee code of conduct. The legal director placed a stack of printed documents before me. I haven't taken any bribes, I said flatly, picking up the documents one by one. I do know Zhao Yong, but only in a professional capacity. I never solicited anything from him. I haven't used this bank card in ages. I don't even know where it is, let alone remember the account number. Someone is deliberately framing me. The company deals with evidence, the legal director said grimly. You have two options. First, return the 20,000 yuan. Immediately terminate the partnership with Zhao Yong's company, compensate the company for losses, and resign voluntarily. Second, we report this to the police, who will investigate. You could face criminal charges and a fine. Report it to the police. I chose the latter without hesitation. I hadn't done anything wrong. A clear conscience fears no accusation. The legal director stared at me for a moment, then sighed. Su Jingyan, don't be impulsive. Lawsuits are long, draining affairs. They consume time, energy, and money. There's no benefit for you. Besides, he slid a piece of paper toward me. The evidence the company has gathered so far is very unfavorable to you. We've worked together for years. My personal advice is to return the money and leave. I took the paper. It showed a WeChat conversation between Zhao Yong and me. I had allegedly solicited a bribe from him and provided my bank account information. The timestamp was 2 weeks ago. This is fake. I never sent him anything like this, I firmly denied. The director looked at me like I was naive. My chat history doesn't show ... My voice trailed off. I knew who did it. Yang Xiaoke. She must have gotten my phone unlock code from Bai Zhengan, used my phone to send the messages to Zhao Yong when I wasn't looking, then deleted the evidence. What infuriated me was that I hadn't known about their relationship back then. I'd never changed my passcode. I'd had no reason to guard against Bai Zhengan. Bai Zhengan! I gritted my teeth. 100 days of marriage earn 100 days of grace. I had never wronged him. Yet for the sake of a childhood love, he could treat a partner of years with such cruelty. Looking back, they must have agreed not to announce the divorce publicly. 6 months ago was the critical period when Yang Xiaoke and I were competing. The gossip that my husband ran his own business, and that I might leave work any time to have a baby. Yang Xiaoke must have deliberately spread those rumors within the company. They had plotted against me with such calculation. How stupid and naive did they think I was, to end up trampled under their feet like this? I told the legal director I needed time to think before responding. I decided to talk to Zhao Yong first. We had worked together for a long time. We knew each other's characters. I couldn't believe he would take a few WeChat messages at face value and assume I was soliciting bribes, let alone go through with paying one. Zhao Yong wasn't at his office. He didn't answer my calls or respond to my messages. A terrible feeling settled in my gut. Zhao Yong was likely a beneficiary in all this, not a victim as I'd assumed. Even so, I waited at his company all day. It wasn't until after all the employees had left for the day and the doors were locked that I finally headed back to my rented apartment. The house Bai Zhengan and I shared had been mortgaged to the bank for a business loan, long before his bankruptcy. So after he went under, even with the divorce, I couldn't get the house. I'd rented a small apartment near my office. At the time, I told my parents I bought it for the commute. They'd scolded me for being selfish and not considering Bai Zhengan's needs, occasionally dropping off food they knew he liked. I never expected my father to go through my bedside drawer and discover we divorced. But even if he hadn't found out, what difference would it have made? Given how inseparable Bai Zhengan and Yang Xiaoke had been that day, They were probably planning to come clean to everyone soon anyway. I remembered Bai Zhengyan holding Yang Xiaoke, like he would protect her forever, like her knight in shining armor. My heart ached. Yes, I had given up on him. I no longer harbored expectations. But emotions are like water, you can't just slice through them and be done. 10 years of feelings, accumulated drop by drop, how could anyone wake from that and simply forget everything? Auntie. As I entered the apartment building lobby, a thin boy called out to me. I looked at him closely and recognized him. It was the child who'd been hit by the car outside 6th Hospital. He was wearing a neat school uniform, with a matching backpack at his feet. He looked like he'd just come from school. It's you. I smiled, walking over. Looking for me? Do you need me as a witness? How did you know I live here? The boy pulled out a cup of coffee and handed it to me. Auntie, do you have time? I'd like to talk with you. The coffee was warm in my hand, its fragrance seeping through the lid's opening. It instantly soothed the exhaustion from my long day. I looked at this clean-cut young boy and gestured toward the corner of the lobby. Want to talk over there? He sat properly on the sofa, back straight, looking serious and composed like a little adult. He introduced himself. Auntie, my surname is Yang. My name is Yang Xiaoke. I'm Yang Xiaoke's son. I had been about to take a sip of coffee, but my hand froze mid-air. The warmth in my palm turned cold. I set the cup on the coffee table and looked at the child before me. As my ex-mother-in-law had said, he did look a bit like Bai Zhengyan. He was a quiet, polite child. But I had decided to have nothing more to do with that family, even if it meant avoiding a 12-year-old. If I couldn't confront them, I could at least stay away. With a complicated mix of emotions, I stood up, ready to leave. Auntie. He quickly stopped me. I came to tell you that Uncle Bai is not my father. I have my own real father. The boy named Yang Xiaoke stood before me. He said his mother was Yang Xiaoke. He said Bai Zhengyan was not his biological father. He was still a child after all. Despite appearing mature and composed, he couldn't hide his innocence. I said, You want me to break them up? To stop your mother from marrying Bai Zhengyan, is that it? Yang Xiaoke shook his head. I want to find my real father. I actually considered it for a moment before gently declining. Then you'll have to ask your mother. I can't help you with that. Yang Xiaoke lowered his eyes, disappointed. My mother calls a stag a horse. I'm not old enough yet. No one listens to me. Hearing him say his mother called a stag a horse, I couldn't help but laugh. I nodded in agreement. You really aren't old enough. So telling me this won't do much either. I may resent them both, but I don't want to get involved in your family's affairs. Yang Xiaoke pulled a piece of paper from his pocket and placed it on the coffee table. Looking up at me, he said, Auntie, you're the only person I know here who isn't on my mother's side. As they say, the enemy of my enemy is my ally. Can you help me find my father? I'm serious. This is proof of my sincerity in forming an alliance with you. Was this child going through a rebellious phase against his parents? I didn't quite understand his reasoning, but his earnest expression moved me. I sat back down and picked up the paper to examine it. What I saw made me want to explode. It was an IOU. Bai Zhengyan had personally lent 5 million yuan to someone, with repayment due next month. The date of the loan was before we had even divorced. I also knew this someone he was the owner of a group company with business dealings with Bai Zhengyan. Given the scale of his company, there was no need for him to borrow 5 million from a friend. I wasn't actually stupid. This IOU was direct evidence that Bai Zhengyan had been transferring marital assets. What bankruptcy? What debts? It was all a lie to trick me into divorce. What a scumbag. I felt smoke billowing from my head, the uncontrollable fire of my rage. Sister, Yang Xiaoke's clear voice interrupted my turbulent thoughts. I stole this. Actually, there's another one. If you can help me find my father, I'll bring you the other one too. I took a few deep breaths trying to calm myself. Yang Xiaoke, I asked. Now everyone thinks Bai Zhengyan is your father. This 5 million is essentially yours too. You're just stealing it and giving it to me. Do you know how much 5 million is? What it can do? I know. Yang Xiaoke said without changing expression. But my father is worth more. I don't have any money myself. And even if I did, no one would be willing to help me. I'll earn more than 5 million in the future. But by then, no matter how much money I spend, I might not be able to find him. His voice carried that same helpless melancholy. I looked at this adolescent sitting across from me. Only someone his age would say such things and do such things. His face was still young, still looked like an unopened flower of the motherland. Yet he possessed a purity of determination that surpassed many adults. I suddenly admired him a little. In truth, he was the one who truly understood. He knew what he wanted and acted on it, regardless of cost. What a child who regarded money as dirt. I needed to retract my earlier assessment that he was naive and innocent. All right. I calculated quickly in my mind and folded the IOU, tucking it away. I promise I'll help you find your biological father. Yang Xiaoke finally relaxed his serious expression, revealing a relieved smile. Now let's talk specifics about your biological father. I opened my phone's notes app, ready to record clues. What do you know about him? Yang Xiaoke tilted his head slightly, staring intently at a spot on the coffee table as if trying hard to remember. Actually, I don't have many memories of my father. I was too young. Most things about him are blurry. Do you have any photos? A family picture? Documents? His marriage certificate with your mother? I prompted. No, nothing. He shook his head. There's no trace of him in our house. My mother never mentions him either. If I didn't have memories of my father, I'd really believe Uncle Bai was my biological father. How old were you when you remember him? 2. I set my phone down. 2? If I backed out of helping now and kept the IO, would that count as an adult taking advantage of a child? My memory is really good, Yang Xiaoke said quickly, probably realizing how absurd 2 sounded. I've had a good memory since I was little. I'm always first in my class all because of my memory. Alright, fine. Credit for being first in class, though it didn't really relate to memories from age 2. I sighed and opened my phone again. Here's what we'll do. Tell me everything you remember. If that's not enough, I'll investigate from your mother's side. Yes, I was going to dig up everything about Yang Xiaoke. The rekindled romance, the affair, I could let those go. After all, no matter how much I screamed and fought, Bai Zhengan wouldn't come back to love me. I didn't want a love tainted by a third person anyway. That those 2 scumbags, one deliberately hiding assets to trick me into leaving with nothing, the other setting a trap at work to get me sued. I absolutely could not let that slide. If someone didn't belong to me, I wouldn't cling to them. But money that was mine, they wouldn't get away with a penny. After talking with Yang Xiaoke for a long time, the fragments he could remember were truly sparse. He remembered living with his parents in a very cold place where you had to wear a white scarf when going out. They rarely saw any relatives or friends. His father had flexible work hours because he often took the boy out to play during the day. He wasn't sure what profession, but his father wore a uniform and a hat. The specific colors and style were hazy. Also, his father's surname was Yang. He'd heard people call his father Xiao, Yang, so his own name Yang Xiaoke wasn't from taking his mother's surname. His father was originally surnamed Yang. His father adored him and often took him out to play happily. He couldn't remember what they played, only that he was happy. A&D, that was it. Just that much. I had a bit of a headache. These clues were so scant they didn't even warrant using my phone's notes. Then again, for a 2-year-old, remembering this much was already a gift. What more could you expect? After age 2, according to Yang Xiaoke, Yang Xiaoke had dragged him from place to place, moving through many cities. He kept changing schools, and Yang Xiaoke kept changing jobs. He'd never met his paternal grandparents, nor heard his mother mention her own parents. It was as if in this world, only the 2 of them existed, clinging to each other like they'd sprung from a rock. Perhaps that was why having a father was so crucial to Yang Xiaoke. His emotions and his life needed that origin to trace back to, much like an orphan's obsession with finding birth parents. I wanted to say maybe the other man wasn't his real father. Maybe Bai Zhengan was, since Yang Xiaoke claimed she'd left pregnant. It wasn't impossible. But the more I listened, the more I understood. The father Yang Xiaoke wanted to find was that man. Whether he was biologically related or shared the same blood wasn't what mattered most. After Yang Xiaoke left, I called an old friend who worked as a headhunter. I asked him to contact Yang Xiaoke under the pretense of recruiting for a top-tier company and request her detailed resume. I specifically emphasized that I needed all her work history from after college graduation. I planned to find clues from the cities she'd worked in, Even if she'd flown across the sky, I would find the traces her wings left behind. I quickly obtained Yang Xiaoke's detailed resume and focused on the period from 12 to 10 years ago. She had indeed been in the north, in a third or fourth tier city, working as an order specialist at a foreign trading company. Her main job was assisting the procurement manager with pre- and post-order communications. With her English major, it was a reasonable and fitting job for a new college graduate. I prepared to go there. Before leaving, I enlisted a silver-tongued lawyer friend and a few burly, intimidating bodyguards to retrieve the 5 million from the borrower. I had Bai Zhengan to thank for keeping the divorce secret. Everyone still thought we were married. It was only natural for a wife to collect her husband's debts. The borrower, after all, was a businessman who cared about his reputation and didn't want to get involved in another couple's marital affairs. With a combination of legal finesse and physical presence, the money was smoothly returned to me, and the IOU destroyed. I also handed the bribery accusation to the same lawyer, asking him to handle it on my behalf. Then I set off northward. After a week of searching locally, the result was no such person existed. Small cities have one advantage: most people seek stability and dislike change. I easily found the company, where several employees who'd worked there for over a decade enthusiastically shared everything they knew. The conclusion was that no one named Yang Xiaoke had ever worked there. I also posted advertisements at bus stops in busy areas, offering rewards for information under the guise of searching for a relative. I tried checking with household registration departments and some community offices. There were indeed people named Yang Xiaoke, but none matched the one I knew. The place where 2-year-old Yang Huayu had lived with his parents was not here. I was disappointed but not entirely surprised. If finding Yang Huayu's biological father were that easy, how could Yang Xiaoke so boldly claim he was Bai Zhengan's son? By the time I returned, the bribery investigation had begun. I was the one who reported it. Being proactive was better than reactive. I arranged to meet my friend from HR, Ning Zhu, for shopping and dinner, hoping to gauge the office sentiment. "Jingyan, this brand is really good, very moisturizing," Ning Zhu said, picking up a serum at a cosmetics counter in the mall. "Where have you been? Your skin looks so dry. Let me buy this for you." I went north. It was cold and dry there. I didn't hide it from her. Only Ning Zhu at the company knew about the tangled mess between me, my ex-husband Bai Zhengan, and his new flame Yang Xiaoke. "Don't buy it for me." "Whatever you want, I'll buy it for you. Your sister came into some unexpected money," I said grandly. "Or rather, I recovered some money. We can splurge." Ning Zhu gave me a skeptical look but didn't pry. She touched my face and sighed. To be honest, Yang Xiaoke is insufferable in every way. But I have to admit, she takes incredible care of her skin. She doesn't look like she's 10 years older than us, nor like a middle-aged woman with a teenage son. She does invest a lot in her appearance. Having worked with Yang Xiaoke for so long, I knew that much about her, despite our strained relationship. "Look at that brand." Ning Zhu pointed behind me. Super expensive." I heard Yang Xiaoke mention it. "She uses the whole line. Has for years. Even when money was tight, she insisted on buying it all to remove the redness on her face. But I guess expensive has its reasons. You can't see any high-altitude flush on her face." I froze. A memory suddenly surfaced. Once, Yang Xiaoke's bag had been knocked over, spilling its contents. Among them was a small wallet, colorful cloth, embroidered with intricate patterns. Now that I thought about it, those patterns didn't seem like mere designs. They looked like Tibetan script. A personal item decorated with Tibetan script. A face that once had high-altitude flush. Plus the coldness Yang Huayu had mentioned. Perhaps the white scarf wasn't a winter scarf as a young child had assumed, but a kata, a ceremonial Tibetan scarf. What if, 12 years ago, the place where the family of 3 had lived was actually Tibet? I felt a spark of excitement. Yang Xiaoke had submitted a fake resume, which had derailed my search. This sudden insight might not be the right answer, but it couldn't be ruled out entirely. At the very least, it was worth pursuing. I immediately took out my phone and booked a flight to Lhasa. Years ago, I had traveled to Tibet. I had just graduated from university and had a month before starting my job. I planned to go to Tibet with Bai Zhengan. To my surprise, he absolutely refused to go. I tried everything cajoling, pressuring but couldn't convince him. Unable to find a companion on short notice, I went alone. That was how I met a warm-hearted local guide named Deke. I called Deke and said I was coming to visit for a few days. The next day, when I landed, he had already prepared roasted lamb and butter tea waiting for me. Tibet's sky was vast, its clouds high, the blue appearing in layers so beautiful that just looking up was intoxicating. Even if I found nothing here, I felt the trip was worthwhile. Sometimes you need a different sky to free yourself from the stale, decaying emotions of the past. Looking for someone? While eating and drinking, I briefly explained my purpose to Deke. Tibet is vast and sparsely populated. These days it's a bit better, but over a decade ago, smaller areas didn't have the same household registration systems. The internet coverage was poor. They didn't even have security cameras. With just a photo and a name, finding someone would be extremely difficult. Deke genuinely tried to dissuade me. I didn't dare admit this was all speculation. I wasn't even sure the person I was looking for had ever lived in Tibet. I thought for a moment, recalling the wallet that had fallen from Yang Xiaoke's bag. I'd searched online for hours last night, and couldn't find anything similar. I took out paper and pen and drew a simple sketch for Deke. Deke, look at this wallet. Are these colors and patterns unique to Tibet? Deke examined it carefully. Looks familiar. Do you have a photo? This drawing looks like a child's sketch. I touched my forehead. My drawing skills were indeed embarrassing. I thought of Yang Xiaoke. He should be in school now. I sent him a WeChat message, asking him to find the wallet when he got home and send me a photo. Despite my doubts, I also sent him my childlike sketch. Yang Xiaoke proved reliable as ever and quickly sent a photo. He'd been taking a city-level math competition that day, and had gone straight home afterward. Seeing my message, he promptly completed the task. When Deke saw the actual photo, he laughed. This is handmade. Nowadays you can find them in many places, but 10 years ago, there was only one place that had these. Brother Deke recognized the wallet as coming from a county near Shannon City. He had a close friend who worked as a guide there. We immediately abandoned our meat and tea, rented a car and drove straight there. Brother Deke's friend was Han Chinese, surnamed Yu, but his grandparents' generation had settled in Tibet, and he was no different from the local Tibetans. Like Brother Deke, Brother Yu was outgoing, warm-hearted, and hospitable. After a lively welcoming dinner filled with singing and dancing, he took me around early the next morning. The few families who had made handmade cloth wallets over a decade ago had since developed into a small-scale textile factory. Their crafts sold throughout Tibet's major scenic areas. There was no way to trace who had bought those few wallets back then. What was certain was that they were only sold near Shannon City at the time, but the chance they had been bought by passing tourists was high. Brother Yu mobilized his connections, taking me around the county to inquire wherever possible. We asked everyone we could and checked every lead. Still, no one had seen Yang Xiaoke, nor heard the name. Your friend probably never registered her residence here, or she used a different name, Brother Yu speculated. Does she have family? Or is she married? Do you know her family members' names? I didn't know. She truly seemed to have sprung from a rock. I felt a bit discouraged. Using such scant information to find someone was indeed asking too much. Brother Deke and Brother Yu had done everything they could, and I was infinitely grateful. Suddenly, I thought of Yang Xiaoke, my client. I asked, could we check the hospitals in Shannon City? I'm looking for a boy born 12 years ago. I know his birth date and name. Yang Xiaoke wasn't a local Tibetan. I didn't know why she was living in Tibet with her husband and young child. But if she had given birth here, given her personality, she would have chosen the largest hospital possible, even in Shannon or Lhasa. This lead proved remarkably accurate. Brother Yu knew an obstetrician-gynecologist at Shannon City Hospital. When we went to try our luck, the doctor recognized Yang Xiaoke from her photo immediately. Isn't this Yang Hao's wife? The surprise came so suddenly that my heart raced. Someone actually knew Yang Xiaoke, and even knew her husband's name, also surnamed Yang, matching what Yang Xiaoke had said. Brother Yu gave me a look, and I understood immediately. I launched into a cheerful spiel about fate bringing people together, and friendship born of encounter, and invited the doctor to dinner. Over the meal, the doctor recounted the story of this family of three, or more precisely, Yang Hao's story. Over a decade ago, Yang Hao was a tour guide in Shannon City. He and Yang Xiaoke had met online and started a relationship. When Yang Xiaoke became pregnant, she was still working in another city. They had originally planned for Yang Hao to move to her city to take care of her and their child, find a new job and settle there. But after he arrived, he found that Yang Xiaoke's pregnancy was difficult. She needed to stay in bed almost constantly and couldn't continue working. Unable to find suitable work, they faced mounting financial pressure. Eventually, they returned to Shannon. Yang Hao resumed guiding tours. After the child was born, Yang Xiaoke only did occasional translation work. The young couple managed to raise their child, living decently despite the struggles. The turning point came when the child was just over 2. Every year, many tourists come to Tibet. A large number prefer self-driving tours. Some drive themselves, some rent cars locally, and some rent a car and guide together. Yang Hao had taken a job, renting a car and driving 2 clients on a self-driving tour. But along the way, a terrible accident occurred. They rear-ended another vehicle severely. The car they hit contained a family of 3 on a self-driving tour. All died instantly. Yang Hao himself was seriously injured and remained unconscious for a long time. The 2 clients were also badly injured, but regained consciousness before Yang Hao. They were taken away by their families to recover in their home cities. After Yang Hao recovered, he was sentenced to life in prison for intentional homicide. He was still serving his sentence in Shannon's prison. A fatal car accident doesn't usually qualify as intentional homicide, I said, puzzled. Why was the sentence so severe? The doctor sighed, still seeming perplexed. They said based on evidence at the scene, after the rear-end collision, he didn't stop but repeatedly hit them again. Otherwise that family of 3 might have been saved. This case was one of the few major cases in Shannon over the years. It made the newspapers with very detailed coverage. Those of us who knew Yang Hao found it hard to believe. Yang Hao's son was premature, very bright, but physically weak, needing frequent hospital visits. After Yang Hao went to prison, I never saw his wife or child again. It's been 10 years now. My scalp tingled. I was momentarily speechless. I never imagined that helping Yang Huaiyu find his biological father would lead to such a result. I had considered various reasons for a father and son being separated and unable to reunite, but never anticipated it would be prison bars. Given Yang Xiaoke's strong-willed nature, it was entirely possible she would never mention the child's father again, or even replace him with another. I found myself in a moral dilemma. Yang Huaiyu held such profound and beautiful memories of his biological father, harboring infinite hope of finding him. If he discovered that by going against his mother and cooperating with me, someone whose intentions he couldn't fully know, he had found a man serving a life sentence for murder. At 12 years old, no matter how mature and determined, he might not recover. That resolute expression, so full of certainty about the future, might never appear on that young face again. But should I stop here? Even if I didn't find Yang Hao, I could still sue Bai Zhengyu for fraudulently transferring marital assets and reclaim what was rightfully mine. I could find other evidence to expose that Yang Xiaoke had faked the paternity test, deceiving the Bai family and leaving them with nothing. Even the bribery case against me, my lawyer said, had an 80% chance of success, nothing to fear. If I stopped here, it wouldn't affect me much, except for that thin, frail boy. I would be the first betrayer in his life. After being disappointed by me, would he still have the courage and trust to grow up? What was certain was that his desire and search for his biological father wouldn't stop here. I want to meet Yang Hao, I said. Brother Yu, could you ask what procedures are required? Meeting Yang Hao was easier than I expected. The prison guard told me no one had visited him in a year. I surmised the visitor from a year ago was Yang Xiaoke. I applied for a visit under the guise of being Yang Xiaoke's friend, and my request was quickly approved. Yang Hao was very thin. When I saw him, I paused, amused despite myself at Yang Xiaoke's aesthetic consistency. He looked somewhat like Bai Zhengyu. Of course, Yang Huaiyu resembled him even more. If Yang Huaiyu had come with me, anyone could see at a glance they were father and son, no paternity test needed. He truly believed I was Yang Xiaoke's friend, visiting on her behalf. His first words were, "Did Xiaoke send you? Did she find Bai Mingjun?" I felt dizzy, as if struck by a bolt of lightning that rearranged my sluggish thoughts. I was right to come. Bai Mingjun was my former father-in-law, Bai Zhengyin's father. When Yang Hao mentioned my former father-in-law's name, I sensed sharply that Yang Xiaoke's desire to marry Bai Zhengying and claim Yang Yu was his biological son was not as simple as I thought. This might not be a simple case of rekindled romance. My mind raced. After careful consideration, I decided to start with Yang Yu. Yang Hao, actually, Yang Yu sent me to find you. Yang Hao's lifeless eyes widened dramatically, tears spilling from them. His hand holding the phone trembled slightly, as if all his strength was focused on holding that plastic receiver. Though I had never given birth, I was deeply moved by his reaction. Whatever he had done, whatever mistakes he'd made, his love for his son was beyond question. He stammered. I haven't seen him in 10 years. Xiaoke said we should let him grow up without knowing I'm here, while he's still young and won't remember. I agreed. I pulled out my phone, found Yang Yu's photo, and held it against the glass for him to see. His tears fell in large drops as he blinked rapidly, afraid to blur his vision and miss seeing his son's face. I looked away, my heart heavy. Time was limited. I quickly put away my phone and began questioning him. What he told me was completely different from what the newspaper had reported back then. In the summer 10 years ago, Yang Hao received an order from 2 college students traveling in Tibet. They asked him to rent a car and serve as driver and guide for tours of several famous scenic areas. On a scenic highway, Yang Hao felt very tired and suggested resting by the roadside for an hour. The student surnamed Yuan agreed, but the one surnamed Bai proposed driving himself, saying he'd just gotten his license and wanted to practice on the wide, empty road. Yang Hao initially refused, but after driving a bit further, he could barely keep his eyes open. Left with no choice, he compromised, switching seats with Bai, who had been in the passenger seat. Though uneasy, after watching Bai drive 2 kilometers with steady skill and composure, Yang Hao relaxed, reclining in the passenger seat and falling deeply asleep. He never imagined that when he next woke, he would be seriously injured in a hospital and labeled an intentional killer. I was clearly in the passenger seat, but the police said at the scene, I was in the driver's seat, Yang Hao said, his voice betraying no resentment after presumably repeating these words countless times over a decade. Only a heavy resignation. That Bai must have caused the accident and moved me back. I was careless. I only knew one was surnamed Bai and one Yuan, not even their full names, and had no photos. That stretch of road had no cameras, and the rental car had no dashcam. The police didn't believe me. They said I knowingly rear-ended someone, didn't call for help or save them, but maliciously hit them repeatedly, causing their deaths. Before I even woke up, the Bai and Yuan families had taken the students away. Under the guise of protecting minors, they wouldn't let us contact them. Only Bai Mingjun appeared as a representative, saying they wouldn't hold me accountable for harming the 2 students. Then he disappeared without even meeting me. Xiaoke only managed to find Bai Mingjun's name a year ago. Since my arrest, Xiaoke has been trying to find evidence proving I wasn't driving. But we knew no one, had no money, had a 2-year-old child who wasn't healthy. It was too hard, really too hard. Gradually, Xiaoke visited less often. I know how hard things are for her. I gave up hoping for my case to be overturned. I just wanted her to raise our son well. A year ago, Xiaoke came and said she'd finally found the man who'd shown up back then, Bai Mingjun, father of the Bai student. She knew which city they were in and was going to find them. Then, there was no more word from Xiaoke until you came today. I'm so worried about her. So worried about my son. I recorded a message from him, saying he was doing well, just couldn't be with his son due to work reasons, but would resolve this situation soon so they could be reunited. I naturally couldn't tell him that Yang Xiaoke was about to marry Bai Zhengying. I promised to pass the recording to Yang Yu at the right time. Leaving Shannon Prison, I found a rock by the roadside to sit on and compose myself. The sunlight on me was bright and warm, but I felt nothing but cold. The Bai student Yang Hao spoke of was none other than my ex-husband, Bai Zhengying. Back then, when I first saw him at my father's hospital, he had just finished college entrance exams and was injured in an accident while traveling in Tibet. Apart from his parents, probably no one knew he'd been in Tibet. He never mentioned it to me, just as he'd flatly refused to travel there with me. If what Yang Hao said was true, then Bai Zhengan was the real killer. I looked at the prison with its tightly locked gates, unassuming grey buildings that looked simple yet impenetrable. Without evidence, without a court verdict, I knew the one who should be inside was Bai Zhengan, and the one who should be outside enjoying a happy life with wife and son was Yang Hao from 10 years ago. I took the recording to see Yang Xiaoke. I asked her, "This is a message from Yang Hao to his son. Should I let him hear it?" Based on what I knew of her, I thought she might deny everything, or scream at me, or scoff and walk away. But now, Yang Xiaoke sat before me, her meticulously made-up face frozen like a plaster mask. She stared blankly at me, then seemed to look through me at someone else. Suddenly she covered her face, collapsed onto her knees and burst into tears. Whatever she had been pursuing, love or revenge, I had shattered it in that moment. What broke her wasn't my recording, but 10 years of struggle and hardship. I found it hard to hold on to my resentment toward Yang Xiaoke. I could scarcely imagine the moment when, after endless hardship, she found Bai Mingjun and discovered that Bai Zhengan, her brief fling, was the one who had destroyed her husband. Was it relief or despair that overwhelmed her? Whatever her goal in marrying Bai Zhengan, true love, seeking shelter, or planning revenge, it couldn't erase her decade of suffering. When she had cried herself out, I handed her tissues and a small mirror. She wiped her face between sobs and returned the mirror. She managed only one word before tears fell again, reminding me of Yang Hao's tears in the prison. "I had no other choice," she sobbed. "I couldn't find evidence. We were so wronged, so wronged. We were too powerless. You have no idea, finding Bai Mingjun's name cost me more than you can imagine. Let's cooperate," I said. Yang Xiaoke looked up, her tear-filled eyes gazing at me as if she hadn't understood. "Let's cooperate," I repeated. "I'll help you get evidence of Bai Zhengan's crime. You help me recover all of Bai Zhengan's assets. I don't want half, I want everything. I want him to lose everything, just like he tricked me into thinking I had. Together, we'll put him where he belongs." The lawyer and I talked through the day. The key to this case was Bai Zhengan's travel companion. There were no cameras at the scene, no dashcam footage. Yang Hao had been unconscious. Bai Zhengan had concealed the truth. The only possible witness was the Yuan student. Yang Xiaoke knew this too. Since reuniting with Bai Zhengan, she had tried every way to get the Yuan student's name and whereabouts from him. But Bai Zhengan never revealed anything. It was as if he truly believed he'd never been to Tibet, never had an accident, never had a classmate named Yuan. Fearing suspicion, Yang Xiaoke only dared probe slowly, with no progress. In fact, she'd chosen the wrong person. If she'd approached me, an innocent bystander, I might have naively told her who travelled with Bai Zhengan back then. The Yuan student was Yuan Jiali, a classmate from cram school. That was why Yang Xiaoke couldn't find him among Bai Zhengan's university, high school, middle school, or elementary school contacts. 10 years ago, after being injured, both were treated and recovered at my father's hospital. I had once met Yuan Jiali there briefly, but he transferred to another hospital soon after, and I never saw him again. After consulting the lawyer, I first approached my father. I explained everything and asked him to retrieve the medical records from 10 years ago, including the injury reports for Bai and Yuan. This would provide evidence of their positions in the car. While retrieving the files, my father discovered something else. All of Yuan Jiali's medical expenses have been paid by Bai Mingjun. This clearly wasn't a temporary favor, but part of the Bai family's payment for Yuan's silence. I had him copy the payment records with Bai Mingjun's signature and gave them to the lawyer. The most critical task now was finding Yuan Jiali. The cram school from 10 years ago no longer existed, but I remembered Bai Zhengan mentioning his teacher there. I found that teacher, and through him, a classmate who knew Yuan Jiali. Finally, I tracked Yuan down in a neighboring city. When I found him, he was sitting on a hospital bench across from a small playground built for children visiting the hospital. There was a colorful jungle gym, several swings of varying heights, and 5 or 6 children playing joyfully. I briefly explained why I'd come. He listened silently, watching the running children. "Is the one with all the little braids your daughter?" Yuan Jiali nodded slightly. "How old?" 3.5. "She looks healthy. What's wrong?" "Congenital heart condition." My heart sank. I didn't know whether to comfort him or ask about her condition. My sudden silence seemed to pain him. Yuan Jiali raised both hands to rub his face, as if trying to remove a mask. He glanced at me briefly, then looked back at his daughter. I've been thinking lately, maybe this is karma. I took the money, kept quiet back then, and now my daughter is paying for it. I'd rather be punished myself, but maybe heaven thought punishing me wasn't enough. Can she have surgery? I asked. Yes, but I don't have the money. Yuan Jiali nodded. So even if you hadn't come, I was planning to find Bai Zhengyan soon. I was going to ask him to pay for the surgery. Maybe you think that's blackmail, that I'm despicable. I don't care. He's the one with the weakness. I'll pay for the surgery, I said directly. Yuan Jiali finally turned to look at me, surprise and disbelief in his eyes. I met his gaze firmly. Not just the surgery, all medical costs, post-operative care, everything. But my condition is different from what you expect. I'm not asking you to stay quiet. I'm asking you to speak up, to testify that Bai Zhengyan was driving during the accident, not Yang Hao. Yuan Jiali stood abruptly. Having come as Bai Zhengyan's wife, he clearly hadn't expected this. I stood too. You said you're being punished for staying silent back then. Now you have a chance to make it right. This is simple for you, just tell the truth. Isn't that easier than lying and hiding? Yuan Jiali's gaze wavered. He looked away hesitantly. I laughed coldly. So, your talk about karma was fake. You wanted to use this leverage to keep squeezing money from Bai Zhengyan. No, he immediately denied. Of course not. I'll be honest with you, I said. Bai Zhengyan and I are divorced. He's bankrupt. All his assets are mine. I'd be glad to see him locked up. Your leverage is useless to me, and while it might be useful against him, he doesn't have a penny to give you anyway. Yuan Jiali was flustered by my rapid speech. He opened his mouth to respond when his daughter yelled, "Daddy! Daddy!" and barreled toward him like a little cannonball, hugging his leg and rubbing her pink cheek against his pants. Yuan Jiali instinctively reached down to stroke his daughter's messy braids, his expression softening. I looked down at the little girl and lowered my voice. Do you know? When your accident happened, Yang Hao's son was younger than your daughter. Only 2 years old. His wife had no job. No family to help. Yang Hao has been locked up for 10 years now. How do you think his wife and son survived all that time? Because you stayed silent, an innocent family fell from heaven into hell. I crouched down and gently wiped the dirt off the little girl's face. Such a young child. Such a lovely child. What did she do wrong? Why should she suffer so much? Yuan Jiali gave us a huge surprise. He had a video. Footage taken just before the accident. He'd been sitting in the back seat, playing with his new phone, a graduation gift after his college entrance exams. The scenery on both sides of that scenic highway was breathtakingly beautiful, so he'd started filming out the window, narrating their location, describing the landscapes in exaggerated terms, and joking with Bai Zhengyan about his driving skills. The video clearly showed Bai Zhengyan driving, with Yang Hao dozing in the passenger seat. The accident happened 3 minutes after this video ended. No wonder Yuan Jiali claimed he had leverage, old enough to approach Bai Zhengyan for his daughter's surgery fees. With both a witness and physical evidence, this was undeniable. Before formally reopening Yang Hao's case, Yang Xiaoke and I resolved my bribery accusation. I don't know how she persuaded Bai Zhengyan, but the 20,000 yuan was reclassified as Zhao Yong repaying a debt to Bai Zhengyan. Because Bai Zhengyan's company was in liquidation, his personal accounts were at risk of being frozen. Therefore, Zhao Yong's repayment of his loan from Bai Zhengyan was transferred to my long-unused account, the card being held by Bai Zhengyan. I was unaware of this, and the funds had no connection to the project I managed with Zhao Yong. The company reached the settlement with me. I didn't need to return the 20,000 yuan or resign, but I was removed from that project. I gave Yuan Jiali's video to Yang Xiaoke. She gave me all the documentation of Bai Zhengyan's assets. And I owe you for 8 million yuan lent by Bai Zhengyan personally. Financial records showing Bai Zhengyan had invested 30 million yuan in another company during our marriage. Bai Zhengyan truly loved Yang Xiaoke and Yang Huaiyu. If not for them, he probably wouldn't have gone to such lengths to strip assets from me. The company with Bai Zhengyan as legal representative was indeed in liquidation, a facade created to deceive me into believing he was in debt. The real money had all been transferred through personal loans and investments. I could recover the 8 million entirely. The investment funds would require legal action, but I could recover most. What remained wouldn't even cover his debts. He would still be in negative assets. I wanted the money. As for the man, someone else could handle that. When Bai Zhengyan was arrested, he was having dinner at his parents' home. His father, already unwell, fainted on the spot. His mother called me, crying, barely coherent. She didn't need to explain. I knew what had happened. I called an ambulance for my former father-in-law. Beyond that, I couldn't help. Both elders had always been good to me. They'd probably worried that if the case resurfaced, my father, a former treating physician, might be pressured to help his daughter by falsifying records. But their son had made his choices. For Yang Xiaoke, he turned against me and abandoned family ties. Bai Zhengyan was quickly transferred to Shannon. I thought I'd never see him again. 2 weeks later, his lawyer found me, asking me to go to Tibet. Bai Zhengyan wanted to speak with me face to face. He'd left me no room for mercy. I had nothing to hear. But the lawyer noted that since I was suing to recover marital assets, going to see him might help my case. So, I returned to Shannon, sitting across from Bai Zhengyan in his prison uniform, separated by cold iron bars. "Jingyan, you came." Bai Zhengyan's voice was low. In just 2 weeks, he had become gaunt, aged 10 years. I looked at him expressionlessly, as if he were a stranger. He was where he belonged. This was his own doing. I felt neither love nor hate. "Jingyan," he said, "you probably won't believe this, but aside from my parents, you were the only family I had." "So this is how you treat family?" I retorted. Bai Zhengyan's face twisted with bitterness. If I hadn't believed Yi was my son, Yang Xiaoke and I might have just had an affair. I wouldn't have divorced you. Thank you so much. But I didn't even want to waste sarcasm on him. He fell silent, head bowed, as if searching for words. "The truth is," he finally said, "my life ended with that car accident. From then on, I lived carefully. I weighed every word before speaking, every action before taking it. My father said he'd handled it, told me not to worry. But I knew he was like me. Our only purpose was ensuring the accident's truth stayed hidden. I lived too long without restraint. Reuniting with Yang Xiaoke was like opening a floodgate. Suddenly, I wanted to live recklessly. I'd been with her briefly in my first year of high school. Though it didn't last, she could take me back to before the disaster. That was too tempting to resist. When she said Yu was my son, it was like opening a window. For 10 years, my father and I had been half dead. Suddenly we had a bloodline. He was young, healthy, able to walk in the sunlight without fear of his shadow being seen. I even felt he was living the life I couldn't. Tears ran down Bai Zhengyan's face, not like Yang Hao's heavy drops, nor Yang Xiaoke's sobbing, but a slow, steady stream down his hollow cheeks, gathering on his stubbled chin, emphasizing his desolation. "Jingyan, I'm sorry. Looking back, I can't believe what I did to you. For 10 years, you gave me the quiet happiness of a normal life, and I didn't treasure it. I stood. I didn't want to hear more. I wasn't a priest taking his deathbed confession. He'd wronged too many people. Compared to them, I was insignificant. His words didn't make me understand or forgive his actions. Whatever bond we had died when he started his affair with Yang Xiaoke. I'll look after your parents as best I can," I said. "I've sued to recover the assets you hid during our marriage. My lawyer will bring the papers for you to sign. We don't need to see each other again." As he said, his life had ended before he met me, and I had my own life to live. Yang Xiaoke stayed in Shannon to help fight Yang Hao's case. After returning, I waited for Yang Yu outside his school. I played Yang Hao's recording for him. He listened carefully, once, twice, again. Then he said, "My father is lying to me, isn't he?" I thought for a moment. "Didn't you consider that I might be lying? Maybe I never found him at all." He shook his head. I remember my father's voice. Well, a superhuman with extraordinary memory since age 2. I had to concede. "Some parts aren't quite true," I admitted. "But soon, he can explain it to you in person." He gave an expression that said, "I knew it," but his eyes lit up at "in person." I sent him the audio via WeChat. Suddenly flustered, he lowered his voice. "Sister, I'm sorry. I have to break my promise. The other I owe you, I can't find it. But I wasn't trying to trick you. Give me some time. I'll find a way to get it to you. I reached out and touched his head. Don't worry about it. Your mother already gave it to me. Yang Huayu's eyes widened. I nodded. No need to doubt it was true. Yes, the enemy of my enemy could be my ally. But sometimes, even an enemy could become an ally. Little flower of the motherland, you have a long future ahead. Go fight with your super memory and confidence. May you walk in the sunlight all your life, unafraid of anyone seeing your shadow.